Conversations with Nicole. Conversations with Nicole. Let's talk about it. Tell me all about it. I'm here. I wanna know what's on your mind. Ooh, the world needs to hear from you, and I'm so glad to have a conversation to reach the nation. And it's all about you. We'll help each other to discover innovative ways to positively change the world. Let's talk about, let's talk about, let's talk about Conversations with Nicole.
Good evening. Don't adjust your video. You're in the right place. This is Conversations with Nicole. I am Dante Bonner. I'm the guest host for tonight's conversation. You have a special treat on today because our guest is none other than Miss Nicole Everett herself. I want to bring her on. And why does Nicole have a guest host? I'm glad you asked that. She just had an amazing experience in the country of Colombia. And we're going to have an opportunity to kind of chat and talk about why she went to Colombia, her experiences there, and just get into it. So without further ado, I want to give a brief little intro about our guest, whom you already know. Just very briefly, you know, she hails from the wonderful city of Miami Gardens, Florida. Her current projects and jobs that she does. But one thing I just want to highlight is the fact she is the program manager for advancement of Black home ownership at the Big Bend Habitat for Humanity. But what we love about her, she is the creator, executive producer, and host of Conversations with Nicole. Let's bring on none other than our own Miss Nicole Everett.
Woo! Look at you, Dante. Thank you for having me, Dante.
Welcome to your show.
Thank you for being here with me.
Yes.
On this Labor Day.
Well, first of all, before we go on further, I want to thank you for allowing me this opportunity to be in your proverbial seat. This is a very hallowed seat, and I don't take it lightly. And I appreciate the opportunity to have this conversation with you on Mindset Monday. I'm so excited about that title, even with Mindset Monday, because we're going to get into it. When we talk about your trip to Colombia. So, the first thing we just want to do is this, for all of our listeners, we want to make sure that you follow her on Facebook Live, Greater Works Network, Roku, and YouTube. So if you don't catch it live, it's going to be on all of these streaming platforms, and you don't want to miss this conversation. Please like and share right now. So first of all, Nicole, let's even talk about how this conversation about even me getting in this proverbial seat even came to play. So let's talk about that first.
Okay.
So
you want me to tell it, or you gonna tell it?
No, I'm going to tell part of it, then I want you to fill in the blanks. So first of all, Nicole and I have known each other for several years in various different workspaces, always passing by. And then a few years ago, we actually had the opportunity to work together. She moderated a panel that I sat on, and we became instant friends as a result of that, like minds. And so following her on Facebook, like most of you all do, saw a little picture of her. She went to Colombia. And I said, oh, okay, great. Okay, she's doing it. Because I had a friend of mine who actually went to Colombia earlier this year to celebrate his birthday. I'm like, man, everybody's going to Colombia. So I'm like, okay. So, I sent her like, oh, great, thumbs up, gave her hearts. Well, a couple of weeks ago, very close family friend of mine, her name is Tiffany Joy Miller. Want to give a shout out to her.
Hey, Joy.
Hey, Joy. Also posted some pictures from Colombia as well. And I'm like, wait a minute. Everybody going to Colombia. So Joy was showing her fabulous pictures. And then I came across this picture that she posted of Joy and Nicole. I said, wait a minute.
Yes.
I said, they know each other. So,
Uh-huh.
I had to send a little text message, like, y'all know each other? And Nicole's response was, yes, we know each other. And of course, Joy had to hit me up. I had to call her for her birthday, and she broke it down to me. And then I had to call Nicole, and we chopped it up. And she says, well, I'm going to talk about it on my show. I said, no, I need to ask you the questions. I don't think you just need to just do a monologue about your experience, because I need your viewers to understand and experience, and it's kind of hard for you to be the host and the subject.
The host and the guest.
Yeah, and the guest. Yes, indeed.
You hear this,
So
right? Y'all hear this.
look, you may think it's a swan and it's going across this water, but underneath,
Yeah, it's a lot
work
going
is
on.
being done. So we want to give a shout out to the work and effort that's done to it. But our
And
trip to Colombia, first of all, tell us about, where did you even think about Colombia? I mean, you didn't do a little birthday party, a little crown and tiara, and say, "Woo, happy birthday."
no,
You
no,
went to
no.
another country.
I did. But wait, before we do all of that, we got to give a shout out to some of the viewers, right?
Oh,
So
most definitely.
I see my cousin Denise on here in Texas. Thank you for being here. Ozzy Daniel in Virginia Beach. He's wishing us greetings on this Labor Day. And also Mr. Johnny Johnson here in Florida. Thank you for being here. He talking about tell it all. Johnny want to know everything.
All the details.
All the details. So I will tell you, so it was myself, Joy, and Dr. Janelle Nicole Robinson who went on this trip. And so Janelle actually is a professor at FAMU. She teaches nutrition, and she and I are mutual friends with Dr. Tiffany Packer, who's over the history department at FAMU. And so Tiffany actually went to Cartagena back in May. And Janelle and I actually happened to be at lunch one day, and Tiffany walked into the place where we were having lunch, and she told us about this trip. And so, based on just her lived experience and all of the great and wonderful things she did, Janelle went into research mode. She found flights, she found the Airbnb. Joy found the excursions that we went on, and it was a done deal. I mean, it was relatively inexpensive. We flew out of Orlando, which was about a 3-hour flight. There's a 1-hour time difference, so they're on Central Time.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, we did a 3-bedroom, 3-bath Airbnb, which was right on the beach. Like, we're looking out at the Atlantic Ocean from our balcony, which was absolutely beautiful. And all of that was, the trip, the flight, the hotel, or the Airbnb, and the excursions was just right around $1,000,
Okay.
which wasn't bad. We were there 5 days, 4 nights.
Oh, nice, nice.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
this wasn't an in and out trip. You can't actually have some time to kind of,
We
frequent
did.
around. I
We
mean, when you're talking about Colombia, first of all, we're talking about another continent, South America.
Mhm.
And, Colombia, when you're talking about vacation spots or even destination spots, that does not just pop up, as far as, let me go, let's go to Colombia. So based upon the experience of one of your fellow friends,
Uh-huh.
to Joy, they said, that is an experience that we want to get. And I'm going to circle back around to that in a moment. But first of all, we have now arrived in Colombia. Give us the backdrop. Give us the setting. You've landed. You got your luggage. What's the weather like? What's the environment? Give us a visual of what
So
was in Colombia.
it is very tropical. I mean, it reminded me of South Florida or Cuba. I went to Cuba back in 2016, and so
Okay.
it kind of put me in the mindset of that in terms of just the topography and the weather. It was warm, humid. And so we actually, there was no terminal in terms of walking from the plane through the little tunnel to get to the airport. We had to walk down the stairs on the tarmac to check into.
Now
Uh,
that's old school.
yes, it is.
Yeah, and when we're talking about old school for our visit, or if you are of a certain age, I'm just going to say it like that. There was a time where the arm did not extend to the plane you walked through. They rolled the stairs, they opened the
Yes,
plane. You had to walk
yes,
down,
yes,
rain slow, sneak to
yes,
get to the to the terminal. So,
yes.
and I am of the same age to remember that, so I understand.
Yes, sir. So yes, that's actually exactly what happened. And I will tell you, not long now, there was a line, of course, because there were, I think, like two other planes that came. Our flight was delayed. And so the customs experience was pretty long because we had three other planes
Okay,
that came in at the same time. And so we were for a little while outside, like waiting to get under the shelter. And almost literally, when we got under the shelter, it poured down raining. So I was grateful for that. That
timing
we
is everything.
made it right to that point. But that took several hours for us to get through.
Oh
Um,
wow.
so that was not fun. But we made it through, and we actually utilized a driver who Tiffany recommended to us when she went on her trip, and so that made everything great. And he stopped, and we got something to eat, and went on to our Airbnb. So it was a pretty long day for us. So we didn't do much of anything that day except for stop to get something to eat and just kind of
Okay.
get familiar with the Airbnb and just kind of how things work, and got kind of comfortable. Because actually the next day we went island hopping.
Okay. So when you're talking about island hopping, so I mean, Colombia is, of course, a part of the continent. So what islands are we talking about that you went island hopping on?
So these are neighboring islands. Cartagena is like basically it's there's a lot of water around it. It's at the top of Colombia.
Right. It's a port
Um,
city.
It is a port city, and so they have folks that have yachts that you can get on, and they're just these little islands like around there that aren't that far away, maybe a 30-45 minute, drive. And they have just different things that you can do. Like the first place we stopped, you could actually so it was so interesting. When we pull up to the island, right, there's these guys on these like what I would call a canoe, and they have like a bar at the canoe. They're on a canoe, driving a canoe, trying to come to our yacht to sell us drinks. Or they have like oysters, like fresh oysters and crackers and hot sauce, and they're trying to sell us oysters, like fresh out of the water.
Okay.
I've never seen anything like that before in my life. It was wild. And so you could get off the boat, like, and just like swim in the water or dive or what have you. Like people could just kind of play in the water. None of us did that because we was really too busy like jamming out, because we had our own playlist and was playing some old school R&B and just having a good time. And then it was a beautiful day. The next island we went to was like a sandbar, so they had all these little huts, but the water came like just below your waist. And so you went to these little huts, and they had like cooked food, and then you could ride on jet skis, which I did. I had never done that before.
Okay.
Yeah, you could do jet skis, you could ride on the banana boat, and then they had people that were coming around to, again, sell you oysters or sell you a drink, or they had jewelry or little figurines or give you a massage or, just all sorts of things. So it was very exciting. There were a number of people there. Seemed like mostly Americans. There were quite a few Americans there, from the States visiting and whatnot. But
So it sounds like
folks were
an
just happy having a
excursion.
good
Yeah,
time.
yeah. Sound like an excursion, like if anyone has ever gone to a Caribbean resort and they try
Yes.
to sell you excursions. So it sounds
Mhm.
like you all went on a excursion. So did you all have to, like pay for that up front, or was that how did you all navigate in terms of trying to do?
We did. Again,
Okay.
Tiffany, who is on here, she said, "Hey girl, hey Columbia." Yes. So yeah, she again referred us to a group. I think it was Experience Cartagena or the Real Cartagena
Gotcha.
Experience, one of
Okay.
those. And so we connected with them, and yes, you did have to pay in advance, but they came and picked us up from the Airbnb, took us to the port, and we got on the boat with a few other folks, not a whole lot. And then so the last place we went, we got out, and this was like a beachfront, but it had like restaurants and bars and stuff. And so we actually ate lunch there,
Okay.
and we could look out over the water, the beach. It was like a two-story type deal, but then after that you can kind of lay out on the beach. Again, people coming to sell you whatever, you could get a massage, or they had jewelry or what have you. But it was nice. It was the food was good, and it was nice.
Well, we were talking about food. Let's talk about the cuisine. That's Colombian food.
Mhm.
When you're talking about the Caribbean culture, you have of course Jamaican, you have Bahamian,
Yeah.
you have Dominican. So we're talking about South American food, Colombian. So kind of give us a flavor profile of what type of food that you were eating.
So they do a coconut rice, which was good. In fact, I had that a couple times, and each time I had it, no matter who prepared it, it was good. They do tostones, which is plantains, but they're smashed, and they're typically not that sweet like your sweet plantains, maduras. And so that's also kind of a staple food. But they also do a lot of seafood. So like the full fish with the head on, they kind of fry it up, but not like battered, fried, but
Uh,
it's just seasoned well and fried. And then they also do, what else did they do? We had we didn't see a lot of vegetables, like not a whole lot of salad,
oh,
which I
really?
was which I was thinking that they would have, but some fruit, some mango and things of that nature. So yeah. But they sold everything there. Like the area that we stayed in, you could get just like on the street in, different restaurants. They had like your fried chicken, your even like your sushi and things of that nature. So they kind of sold everything there. But
Okay.
the more native food was a lot of seafood. They did do a lot of seafood.
Okay. Would you consider their spicy or more flavorful or?
No, not really. Not spicy. Flavorful, yes, but not really
Okay.
spicy. Mhm. Mhm.
I think one of the things though, like for travelers, that want to have that experience, I used to tease, people like, hey, when you're going out of town or going someplace, if you got KFC at home, you're not trying to go to KFC someplace, at
Right.
the same place.
They got
So
KFC too.
so you're not trying to have the same type of cuisine that you would normally have because you're on a particular excursion. So that was your first time as far as island hopping. So what are some of the other activities that you all participated in?
So the next day, and actually, one of the young ladies who was on the boat with us told us about the Airbnb experience. Like you could book these Airbnb experiences, and she was booking a photo shoot. And so we booked the same photo shoot. And so we went with her to this place called the Wall City, which was really cool. It's a fort, but it's also it's which is very old. And I didn't get the history behind it. So Dr. Packer, maybe if you know, let us know what maybe some of the history behind the Wall City is. But it's huge. It fronts the water, and it looks like it stretches for miles. But inside the fort, or the wall city are all types of shops and restaurants, and it's very colorful and vibrant. Again, the topography, the vegetation there is beautiful, and they have these ladies that are dressed, especially these are black ladies that are dressed in the Colombian colors, which are blue, gold, and red. And they have these baskets of fruit on their heads, and they're there hoping that you will take a picture with them and give them money for taking a picture with them. But we went to maybe about 10 different spots that the photographer who was from Colombia, native Colombian, she took of us at these different locations within the wall city. And so that was pretty cool. We went at like 8 in the morning, but when I tell you it was hot, hot, hot at 8 in the morning, it was hot. And then we ended up at a Juan Valdez cafe. So Juan Valdez,
Oh, nice.
yes, the coffee there, like the way they have Juan Valdez is like how we have Starbucks. Now, mind you, Starbucks is there as well, but they have like Juan Valdez cafes just like we have Starbucks. Because, like, in the area that we stayed in, there were probably like 3 or 4 of those cafes in the area.
Well, I think that's interesting. When you hear Colombia, you hear the good and the bad, and of course the Colombian coffee.
Mhm.
That dark roast, and you see the image of Juan Valdez with the hat. Hence, I had to pay an homage to Colombia with the hat. Also, I have to represent my school as well for FAMU.
Indeed, and
Um,
we gonna get to that FAMU thing in a minute. Tiffany just said palanqueras, palanquer. Oh,
okay.
my Spanish is horrible. Listen, Joy was in Puerto Rico for what, 2.5, 3 years, I think. So she was our translator on the trip.
It's good to have friends that can help you out.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Let me pause real quick. I saw Kamisha on here. Thank you for being here. Kamisha is a clinician out of Arkansas, and my fellow classmate Sharice the boys in Atlanta. Thank you for being here as well. And Coach Merv is in Madison. He said, recovering from the storm, we got hit hard. I'm sorry to hear that, Coach Merv. Please let us know if we may assist and support you in some way. Yes. So, Merv, we are talking about my recent trip to Colombia, to Cartagena, Columbia specifically. And so I am the guest tonight, and Dante is our host. Mama Yada is on from Tallahassee. Thank you for being here with us. So, you were asking about.
I was asking in terms of, we were talking about the food, we were talking about your different excursions and your photography. I think one of the things to understand, you were in the city of Cartagena. Most of the time, if persons are familiar with the country of Colombia, they may have heard of Bogota, which is the capital,
Mhm.
or Medellin.
Medellin.
And yes, and if you're familiar with Medellin, I love the movie Scarface. So
Mm,
I was familiar with that term, a city, Medellin. And then also, again, Joy's older brother Roderick actually worked in Medellin, Colombia as well. So it has a connotation as far as with the dealing with the drugs, everything, anything you think Colombia. So
yes.
I think one of the things that was very fascinating about your interest as far as Colombia is because when the average person hears the word Colombia, like, ooh, they think of a jungle and they think of drugs. And
Uh,
they may think of Juan Valdez coffee.
mhm.
But the fact that Cartagena is a port city,
Yeah.
and for just a slight little history, so when the slave trade came over from the Americas, you had Spanish and French, and so
Mhm.
when they brought the slaves over, you will see a very large infusion of Africans within the culture. And I
Mhm.
am curious, as to what was the community like in terms of the type of uh, color of the people that were native to Colombia.
So let me pause real quick before I respond. Tiffany said Colombia will be controlled by several hands, but the Spanish will hold the power in a lasting way Forts were put in place to do business, including slave trading, but it was used to fight off other countries from trying to colonize and take over.
Oh,
Yes,
interesting.
that is our favorite historian on. Thank you for sharing that.
That is
So,
interesting.
I will tell you in the area that we were in, which again was kind of pretty touristy, because we were on the beach. You know, I didn't feel like it was a racial divide or what have you. In fact, and Tiffany may be able to Dr. Packer may be able to give us some clarity on this, but I kept seeing these statues of these black women, like black, like the color black women. And I
Okay.
just did not know who these women were. This one woman, like they had her in a head wrap, but it was the same woman every time you saw this statue or some type of picture of her printed on a shirt or something like that. So I know there's a story there, but I just don't know what it is. And then like that place that we went, we were island hopping. The last place that we went, for the restaurant, they had this beautiful mural of this black woman, and it said Negra Mia or something like that. So it's like I feel like they really kind of pay homage to women, black women in particular. I just saw them like our pictures like posted up places. At the Wall City, they had like beautiful murals, like one that was paying homage to Nat Turner and his revolt. Um,
Really?
Mhm. And just other pictures of like black people. Just beautiful murals. Beautiful, beautiful murals.
Okay. I think that kind of speaks to what Dr. Packer just posted. If they brought the slaves to defend them, to keep them
Mhm.
from being, colonized. So there has to be some type of value. And of course, for other countries that imported slaves, they were
Mhm.
using for work labor to, for an economic group, where they were using them for defense,
Right.
as an army concerning. So the contributions that the Africans have, for Colombia, and of course there's the cross, pollination, if you will. So you will see the different hues, of that particular, which is indicative of South America. I think
Yeah.
South America has so many different hues. I mean, you have Portuguese, you have Hispanic, but
Mhm.
because of the heavy influence of Africa being interwoven into these, communities, I think that's so I think vital to understand. And you titled this Mindset Monday, and I said I was going to circle back around as far as with Colombia. The
Mhm.
fact that again, the typical American, I'll just leave it right there. No, I'm
Mhm.
not going to go there. The typical African American. Let me just go there. We're gonna have a
Okay.
conversation. We're gonna have a
Okay.
conversation.
Let's do it.
So typically it's, okay, I'm going to go to Atlanta. I'm going to go to Miami. I'm going to go to Vegas. I'm going to go to New York. But the thing that fascinates me is you are seeing an increase of African Americans, particularly African women, are saying, they want to leave the country and they're
Mhm.
wanting to go into other parts of the globe to, not just because they're living there, but to actually to have a vacationing experience. And so
Mhm.
even though you were given this beautiful panoramic view, as far as, I had a wonderful experience and we should go there, but what about that story or even resonated? I mean, because that could have been, okay, that's a beautiful thing, but I'm not leaving this country. So the mindset that you had to even wanting to go, and I want to add along the fact that you had other like-minded individuals
Yeah.
that will also say, yes, let's go to Colombia.
Mhm.
So where does that come from in terms of even wanting to do an adventure such as Colombia? Because again, we're not even talking about Mexico, which would be the typical place, or the Bahamas if you wanted to go out the country, but you went to a totally area that's not normally in our community.
Well, again, Dr. Packer really told a story that just, and she had such lovely pictures of her trip, and that was very intriguing, I believe, to us. And when we found out that it was within reach in terms of the schedule, the affordability, and just some of the things that we wanted to do, it was a go. Like, we all got passports. We didn't have to get any special vaccines. So yeah, it was like, let's make it happen. Now, I will tell you, there were a number of Black folks visiting, Black Americans, African Americans visiting Cartagena. I saw groups of Black men that were there, groups of Black women. And so several people, they were celebrating something, birthday, anniversary, something or another. You know what I'm saying? So couples, I saw a lot of that. And so I think Cartagena is becoming a pretty popular spot. I wasn't aware of it prior to going, but again, I saw a number of us there enjoying ourselves and loving life. And so when you mentioned Mindset Monday, for me, travel is therapy. To be able to get away and, see a new culture and a new perspective, a new vantage point, have some new experiences, excursions, all of that takes mindset, the willingness, the desire to want to go and do that type of thing, and to be able to come back and tell others and encourage them to do the same if that's something that they want to do. For many years, I did not travel abroad because my thought was, well, I'm gonna wait until I get married. Well, that hadn't happened yet. And so I will say probably about 13 years ago, I told myself, I need to go. I'm not getting any younger. Time is not waiting. And I want to go see some things. And I'm so glad that I did. And so, again, to the extent that I can, am physically able and financially able and have the mindset to go and do, I'm going to do. And so
I
that's,
like that, the
yeah.
mindset to do. The other thing, one of the takeaways also is because you had someone that had of a like mind to explain what it was like to exposure, and exposure is everything.
Yeah.
Just part of my background, my father was in the military, and so he traveled all over the country and around the world. So I had the privilege of living overseas. I lived in Germany
Mm,
for 3 years, and I also had the opportunity to live to go to Switzerland
yeah.
and to other visit different parts. And when your exposure to different cultures, you know, you will have a different mindset about life, about
Mm,
what you can and what you cannot do, because oftentimes, and we're guilty of it just because of the fact of lack of exposure. Well, you can't do this, or don't nobody does this, or I used to live in Alaska for 4 years, and I was told, "Oh, black people don't ski. Black people don't." I'm like, I downhill skied, I cross country, I played hockey, I know how to ice skate.
wow.
So that statement right there, well, that's because of the fact they live in South Florida and they had
Right.
never been anywhere out of South Florida.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
the fact that they have come in contact with me, I am now expounding, saying, changing their mindset about another black
Exactly.
person has
Yeah,
actually done this. It was like, huh.
yeah.
So the fact that you've been able to have this particular experience in Colombia, and I did a little research, and interestingly enough, on essence.com, that one of the safest areas for black women to travel are Ghana, Mexico, Puerto Rico, Brazil, Colombia,
Ugh.
and Iceland.
Iceland. Uh-uh.
Iceland. That's
Okay.
according to essence.com.
Mm,
So when you were talking about, you saw a contingent of African Americans within that particular area, that kind of falls
mhm.
in line
Yeah.
with those areas. I did another area, Black Travelers International. They were talking about some of the top places for 23 and 24. And they also included Ghana, South Africa, Brazil, France, Dubai, Thailand, the Maldives, Portugal, Tokyo, Japan, and Tanzania.
Wow.
Tanzania.
Okay.
So our community is really starting to broaden their horizons, and the mindset is being changed that I don't have to go to. And mind you, I love to me some Miami. You
Uh,
know, you know,
uh,
our beloved Florida University Rattlers played in the Orange Blossom Classic, and we were victorious over the Jackson State Tigers. Go Rattlers.
Woo-hoo!
Got to throw that in, got to pay homage to that.
And that,
And but there's much more. And when you experience much more than out just in your city, out of
mhm,
your state, but out of your country. And I want to also the fact English is not the main language in Colombia.
it is not.
It is and the fact that you have and I will venture to say that most of those individuals probably are not as fluent as they may have. We have Google Translator, you
We do.
know.
And we listen, and we had our Google Translator up, okay? But
you
we
know,
also had Joy, and she caught a lot of those words. So for the most part, it worked.
yeah. But the fact that we were able to get over that fear, because our grandparents are, our parents, oh no, you don't need to go, and to piggyback as far as you being a single black, woman, not having to wait to be espoused,
Yeah,
to a husband to be able to go into travel as long as you have the financial means, to
right.
do so. But that's the mindset that I just love, for you to espouse, and I thought it was really important, just kind of capitalize, on that. So why do you think is so? Why are we seeing such an insurgence of this overseas travel?
Like I said, I think it's affordability. I think they are welcoming. When you go there, at least where we were, um, the people were friendly. Of course, they're trying to sell you any and everything, but they are want you to be there. You feel a sense of again that they appreciate your presence, right? Because I think tourism is big there. And so, if we don't come, then that affects their economy. So we are stimulating the economy, buying souvenirs and food and transportation and all those things. So yeah. I mean,
Okay.
listen, we're in Florida. We know how it goes.
Yes, indeed.
So we
Now,
got a few more folks on here.
mhm.
Miss Kiosha here is tuning in from Tallahassee, and she is a rattler, so she sent some orange and green love. Also, Miss Cora is on. She's co-signing saying, Dante, you're right. Lack of exposure limits your mindset. And she wanted to also know how safe did I feel. I
Yeah.
actually felt pretty safe. I maybe went outside once or twice by myself in terms of walking around. And I think both Janelle and Joy may have walked around one at a time, but I mean, in the area that we were in, I felt very safe. So I know we hear stories like you mentioned about Colombia being, you know, jungle or cartels and all that sort of thing, but not where we were. And I don't know if we just weren't in those type of areas, um, or if it's just changed. But like I said, we felt safe. I did see some police around, but not a whole lot, and I didn't see any type of incidents go on while we were there at all. So
And that's
I
good
think
to know.
yeah, like I mean when I say incident, like anything with the police or
Right.
shooting.
I got you. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Mhm.
And I think that's important for anyone. If you were traveling, to any place, I mean, if you travel to Miami, you need to have your head on a swivel,
Right.
to make sure, that you're safe as well. But I
Mhm.
think also too, and this is, I guess, maybe my experience, just being raised in the military, that when you're in this country, okay, you're black, you're Hispanic, you're Mexican, whatever. When you're in another country, you are an American. And so you also have to keep in mind that you have to respect the cultures of
Yes.
where you are, because you can't come with this certain mindset that because you're an American and you are a guest in another country,
Right.
so you do need to be mindful of going places where it is safe. You just don't want to be that rebel, thinking that you can just do and say anything because you don't know what's out there. Every good place has a bad place. place.
Yes.
And so I think that's indicative of, it's great to know those are safe places, but as with anything, if you take high risk, you can, fall short and, find yourself in a very precarious situation.
Absolutely. Well, like you said, that's true of any place. So you just got to be careful. I mean, for the most part, we all travel together. But maybe we had to run to the store for something because they did have some grocery stores around where we were, and or grab something to eat. So that was about it.
What was the currency? Is it dollar to dollar? What do they have their own currency
So
or?
their pesos, and
Okay.
the way I understand it is like 39. Well, their exchange rate at the time was like 39, 30, I think it was 39 pesos for every $1.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
they have the
so,
pesos. Okay.
by the time we left, it was like 36 pesos for $1. So it had actually, we wasn't getting as much bang from our buck when we were getting ready to leave. But
That's not good for the short time period that you were in, 39
yeah,
to 36.
yeah. It actually went down. Um, all right. So Cora has another question. She said, "What was the most exciting part of your trip?" So, couple of things actually. I really did enjoy the Wall City. Like I said, we went there for the photo shoot that morning, and then right across the street from the Juan Valdez Cafe was a brunch spot that we went to that was really good. I can't think of the name of it right now, but I gave them a great Google review. And then on later that evening, we went to this restaurant called Candy that Dr. Packer recommended, and that food was the best food that we tasted the whole trip.
Okay.
So I had like a mixture of seafood, mussels, and uh, what was it? Shrimp and fish and scallops, and over some rice and some tostones. So that was really, really good food. So that was really good. And then the next day we went to visit the Palenge, which is an African community, and the ride over there is maybe about an hour and a half. So that was really like in the rural kind of area. But we caught this bus. This was part of the tour to the Palenque community. And Palenque they consider themselves to be Africa in South America in Colombia. And
Okay.
so, yeah, they have like their own language, which is a mixture of Spanish and Portuguese and French. And they have, again, their own words, but I forget the name of the founder of that community, but this was like a long, long time ago that this person was here, but they have a statue paying homage to him. And then they took us to a place there where they did a dance, like with drum. It was like young people, like maybe high schoolers, boys and girls that did some traditional dances. And then they gave the audience an opportunity to get involved with that. And so some of us got up and danced, and some of us got up and drummed. I did some drumming. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah,
Yes.
I did see some of the video
Uh-huh.
of the dancing, because I was going to ask you the music, throughout your stay. What was the music like?
So it was mostly like a maybe a samba tango type, kind of traditional Hispanic. Yeah. But there was reggaeton that was there. So like we did go to a couple of clubs, and that was primarily what they were playing was reggaeton. Um,
I
yeah. So, that was cool. But I really enjoyed the Palenque. They were very, again, inviting and warm. We went to a lady's house that was known for making different types of coconut candies, and this
Ooh.
rum that I call Colombian moonshine, which we got to taste some of that. Right, because it looked like it was straight grain alcohol. I don't know, but yeah.
Like, I'm gonna leave you over there.
Right, right. So yeah, and we got to buy some of that stuff. So that was pretty cool. And then what did we do after we left there? So we just kind of rode around some more. And we had a great tour guide. And so it was nice to just kind of observe the countryside and to interact with them. So that was pretty cool. So that was
That's good.
another kind of like highlight of the
I
trip.
like.
Mhm.
eh,
Yeah.
I love that you had the opportunity to actually experience the culture of
Hmm.
Colombia. You
Yeah.
know, oftentimes the individuals that do travel overseas, they'll go to the tourist spot that I hate to say Americanized, but it's so Americanized that you don't really get the full flavor of that, particular country. You get the
Hmm.
Americanized food, you get the Americanized service, but you actually, want to experience the culture of that. So I'm glad you had the opportunity, to experience that.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much. I see a few more folks have joined us. So I definitely want to acknowledge them. We got E in the house, Enigma Sep,
What's going on, sir?
giving his old coworker a shout out. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. My cousin Whit in Portsmouth is on. Thank you for being here, cuz. And Miss Cora says she saw the video. Miss Jeanette is on in Miami Garden. She said the Catholic Church celebrates St. Peter Claver Feast Day, September 9th. He met the slave ships as they arrived in Cartagena. He took care of the six slaves. He lived 1580 to 1654. Wow. Thank you for sharing that. We got a few historians on here. I love it.
Indeed, indeed. Well, with the Spanish, with the Catholic Church, they're coming under that banner. I can see,
Mhm.
how that plays a major part of the culture there. Did you see a lot of religious churches, buildings?
Not a whole lot, not in the area that we were residing, but when we went to the Wall City, I did notice, and I actually took a picture in front of a cathedral that was there. So maybe deeper in the Wall City, there probably existed more of that. We didn't do the entire Wall City, we just went to
Okay,
some specific places. But I would imagine that there probably were more of that, especially in there.
okay.
Mhm.
But with all that, did you just rest? Did you get a chance to
Very
just?
little, very, very little. Let me tell you, my favorite place was on the balcony.
Okay, talk about it. Let's talk about
So
this balcony.
we were on the 21st floor. And so being on the 21st floor, like across the street from us was the beach. Like it was our building, the street, the beach. You feel me? So
Yeah. I feel you. I'm a beach lover, so I'm there. That's what I'm saying. I'm hearing the water. I'm seeing the
listen,
sand.
listen. So it was like being at the beach without the sand because I could hear it, I could feel the wind, the sun, all of that without the sand. And so I was, man, I could have stayed out there all day. That's how in the morning, that was me. I'm an early bird anyway, so yeah, I'm on the balcony.
Got these magnificent views. So, did you see the sunset, or y'all facing the east?
I
So,
did
for the
not. So
sunrise.
the sun was kind of like behind us, but it didn't
Okay.
quite go like over the beach. It was weird, which I was kind of disappointed about that because I sunrise, sunset, those are like my favorite times to be at the beach. But it
Oh
still
yes.
was beautiful though. I mean, it was overlooking the Atlantic, and they had these like rock fingers that kind of went out into the water, but they were rock. Like I tried to walk on the rock, but yeah, it wasn't there was
So, let's talk about that beach. Or you're talking about the coast. So, is it a rocky coast? Is it
it was not.
sandy?
It was not.
Okay,
It was sand. It was gray sand, and it was fine like powder.
like powder. Okay,
It was a fine sand. It was gray. But they had these just like little islands that were made of rock that went
interesting.
from the shore, or the sand into the water. And so people were out there, like at the very end, the last rock that was out there. And again, I tried to walk out there in my flip-flops, but that wasn't a good idea. So I, I, I aborted that mission. But I
You
tried.
need those water shoes,
I
to
do.
kind of.
I
And
did.
you probably have some at home, but you left
I
them at home, and
did.
then.
I wasn't expecting no Rocky Island thing, but it's all good.
So with this experience, what is your takeaway from your trip to Columbia? First of all, you were there celebrating your birthday. Let
Yeah, it kind of was an extension of my birthday. And
yes,
look, this is my Colombian here. We calling her Gina. So,
I
yeah.
Gina.
Hey. So my takeaway probably would be to do more of this. I definitely would like to visit Medellin and some of the other places in Colombia and South America for that matter. So yeah, I think it gave me the confidence to do more of this type of travel and to continue to explore our world. Again, there's so many places that I do want to visit, and so I feel very blessed and fortunate to have been able to have this experience. And I encourage others to do the same. I mean, if there are some places that you're interested in going, do the research. You know, find out if there may even be travel groups that you can be a part of. Because again, we met different people, and I heard folks talking about being parts of different like Facebook travel groups or what have you, that give you tips on places to go or deals that are happening or activities and events that are taking place a particular time of year. So, again, if it's something that you're interested in, by all means, I encourage you to, do the research, find out who's doing what, when, and see how you can make it happen for yourself.
I'm glad you said that because I think a lot of time I can hear the mindsets of people talking about, well, I don't have a friend that speaks Spanish, and I don't have someone, so I don't know nobody. So
Mhm.
what you've just provided is basically one less excuse and say, hey, there are actual groups that you can identify with that will create a safe space for you to get to know and to go in a group so you can get to know and experience those places, because there are groups that are popping up all over the country doing
There are.
excursions.
There are. Well, interestingly enough, a few of the ladies, black ladies that we met were traveling solo. I met one, I sat next to her on the trip down. She was from Atlanta and she had come, I think maybe in 21, and found her husband during that trip. And
Oh,
so,
okay.
yeah, 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 yeah. And he was Colombian.
Now, I'm not encouraging what. Don't try to go over. This is not how Stella got her groove. You
Listen,
know.
I'm just saying, she found Leon, Leon found her, and they got married. So she said April made a year that they've been married. So, it can happen.
Whatever works.
It can
But
happen.
don't go for that purpose. That
Mhm.
was just the icing on the cake
It
in
was.
the travel
It
excursion.
was. It
I
was.
think. I
Yeah,
think
no,
that's.
but it can happen. And then another lady who I met at the dinner that we went to when we left Palenque, she also traveled by herself. She was from Philly, and she actually happened to be a clinician. The first lady was also a counselor. And so she said she was part of some Facebook groups that did travel, and this was her first time going, but she really enjoyed it. She stayed in another place called Gethsemane, which was in Cartagena, but just a little more of a kind of enclosed community. We actually went to Gethsemane as well on Sunday night. So yeah, I mean, hey, she again just did the research, found the things that she wanted to do, and she was loving life. So, you know,
Okay.
yeah.
So if you had to give a blueprint on, okay, I'm hearing you now. Nicole. I'm
Mhm.
sounding excited. You told me to do the research, but what are some practical things that someone can do to get themselves to go to Colombia or any other type of country? What are some practical things that they can do?
So I would say definitely Google that place, see, kind of what the makeup of the area is in terms of what type of commerce they have going on, what type of area it is. Like you said, is it a port city? You know, and if it is a port city, what are some of the type of the activities that they do? Did they do any type of festivals? Can you do island hopping or things of that nature? Again, it's uh, doing the research. I've talked about looking at some other groups that are out there that do travel that can give you some tips. And typically, like I said, we connected with a couple of excursion groups or experience groups that are native to the area, and so they're going to have recommendations about things that you can do and places you can go. So again, just kind of connecting with them as it relates to it as well. Depending on where you're going, maybe check with the embassy, the U.S. embassy for that area to see anything going on that you need to be made aware of, any coups or wars or anything like that. Is this a
That
good
might
time?
be helpful to know. A travel advisor, do not come
Yes,
to this
yes,
particular thing. I think that's a very important thing to know, because if you haven't traveled out overseas, you won't even know, to do that, because they're going to say, come, 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 and they're like, no, no, no,
right.
this is not safe for that. That's some good
Yeah.
wisdom and
Yeah, so
advice.
check with the embassy, check to see if you have to get any type of vaccinations, because that's also really important. Planning on potentially going to Ghana next year, and you have to get like a yellow fever shot to go there. So, that's a whole nother thing. So, you want to definitely make sure you have all of that in order as well as you plan to travel abroad.
Are you going to go to that music festival in Ghana?
When is it?
I think it's called Afropunk.
Oh,
There's a music festival that goes on in Ghana. It's really grown. It's kind of like the Essence Fest
I
of
think
Ghana.
I saw some of that this year. I don't know why I thought that was in New York, but okay. I don't know. Maybe we'll see. We'll see.
Well, like I said, look, hey, Essence has already said Ghana is one of those places, and Black Travels International have
Mhm.
already, stated, Ghana is one of those, particular places. And, there's this thing, wanting to go back to the motherland. I personally, I want to go to South Africa. I want to
Okay.
go specifically go to Cape Town to go see the Cape of Good Hope, so I can see the Indian and the Atlantic Ocean meet. I just want to see that, and then of course, I want to go to Ghana,
Uh-huh.
as well. So that's got to save my money, for
Yes.
that as well.
Yes.
So that is. I think we have a question from Kamisha Nicole. Do you plan on going back? I think. What
I
was your thought?
I would love to go back to Colombia. I would like to try to see some other areas of Colombia. So yeah, I'm game. I'm game. I'm game. Cora said the more exposed we are to other areas, it widens our perspective of others. We become more willing to accept all. Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
that is another show all into itself in
It
that statement,
is.
right?
It is. It is. So Tiffany want to know who I'm going to Ghana with, and she's saying that because
Hint, hint, hint,
hosts
hint.
he is hosting the trip to Ghana in July of next year. So please, ma'am, if you will, put your information, the travel information in the comments so people can connect. She said Cape Town is amazing and Ghana is the bomb.com. So we got the world traveling historian,
Sounds
Dr.
like to me she needs to be a part of your travel crew.
Well, listen, she is the one hosting the trip that I am definitely considering. And so undergroundtravel.org is the name of the organization. So you all can get all of the information for the Ghana trip next year, which will be in July of 2024 from the website for sure, for sure, for sure. So listen, September is Hispanic Heritage Month. And so I didn't think about that when I was, wanting to do this recap show, but I definitely want to mention, and I will post this on my Facebook page. I don't have it on, I don't have it for viewing right now, but there is a Hispanic Heritage Month event that will be taking place on October 1st, which is a Sunday, at the Tallahassee Car Museum by Ola Tallahassee from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. And we are Conversations with Nicole is one of the sponsors of that event. So again, Ola Tallahassee Hispanic Heritage Month at the Tallahassee Car Museum, 6800 Mahan Drive from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Sunday, October 1st. Shout out to Erica Rojas, who is actually from Colombia.
Uh-huh.
She is coordinating this event. And so it should be an afternoon slash evening of Hispanic heritage appreciation, food, music, and all of the festivities. So definitely inviting the folks in Tallahassee to come out and be a part of that.
Thank you for that shout out, for that. And as we wrap up, I want to give, our guest, Miss Everett of Conversations with Nicole, our final thoughts before we close to the show about your trip to Colombia.
So my trip to Colombia was muy bien, and I highly recommend Cartagena to anybody that's interested in a culturally rich experience. You can do everything from island hopping to clubbing to eating great food, to checking out the Palenge African community, as well as just, again, taking in the beach, which, I'm a beach lover. So, it was great. I highly recommend it. And I want to encourage folks to use travel as a form of therapy. You don't necessarily have to go abroad, but go to a neighboring city or neighboring state and try something new. Try something new. Try something new. Get out of your comfort zone and expose yourself to some new people, new places, new experiences. That's all I got to
Awesome.
say.
New places and new experiences. Well, I first, again, I want to thank you again for allowing me to sit in this proverbial chair with Conversations from Nicole. And I am Dante Bonner, and Nicole will see you on the next time.
I will, but before we go, y'all, we got to give it up to Dante. Dante did a jam up job on this show tonight. Y'all, please give him some applause in the comments. Let him know we appreciate him. Listen here, y'all had the bomb host tonight. He had his research together, okay? His facts about the safest places for us to travel. Who does that? Dante. Listen. And he got on his, listen, I'm gonna tell y'all, he got on his FAMU hat and shirt. I got mine on too, because I'm so proud of them Rattlers. They did their thing this weekend. They did their thing at the stadium against these Tigers. So I'm super duper proud of FAMU. So we repping FAMU hard today, all right, on this Labor Day. All right.
Yes, we did.
Yes, yes. Okay, cool. So they giving us comments here. Miss Cora said, "Thank you both. Great interview." Cousin Denise giving us some shouts out. We appreciate it. Oh,
Joy.
Joy. What's up, Joy? You're gonna have to tell Janelle about this. She missed it. All right, Cora. Thanks,
Uh,
Dante. Oh, we got Malicia on. Okay, Colombian style rattler. Hey, yes, he got the Colombian. Listen, they wear them hats in Colombia, Dante. So you
and
gonna
I
fit
love it. And
in. You gonna fit right in. They wear them
I
hats
tell
right.
you, I can't. I tell you, I couldn't come half stepping.
You didn't. You came all the way. You full throttle. They don't know who they messing with. All right, listen. I appreciate you, Dante, so much. I appreciate our viewers, y'all's interaction. Your questions were great. Y'all go check out Columbia. They want y'all to come there and be a part of it. So, all right, y'all, take care, and we will see y'all on Wednesday. Hopefully, Conversations with Nicole right here at 8:30. Peace.